This is the EVP Podcast.
That's right. This is the EVP Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Beaker.
And Ghosty's in the house.
And we are here to talk to you about more stuff in Virginia City.
Ghost stuff.
It's been a while since we talked about anything in Virginia City, and I know that I laid out our plan for you and we were going to talk about the Lovelock Caves this episode, but we decided we're lazy bitches and we didn't want to walk to the cave.
Well, come to find out, there's a half-mile hike involved.
Yeah, and it was raining.
And ain't nobody got time for that when you're driving to Reno or driving back from Reno.
There's also that it's been closed for like 10 years or some shit like that.
I saw something about that, but it is open. It's not like a closed door situation. It's just like you drive to it, you hike to it, and then you're free to roam it.
Yeah, maybe later in the year or next year. I don't know when.
Yeah, when the weather's better.
Yeah.
We bring some hiking shoes with us.
Yeah, I'm wearing like mesh walking shoes.
Yeah, I got mesh walking shoes as well.
And mesh shoes in the rain and the mud doesn't go too well. So we wanted to talk about that when we actually had a chance to go there and visit it. So we decided, because we were just in Virginia City, we did the Washoe Club. By the way,
investigated.
I had like 3 or 4 people in Virginia City that did not like it that I was saying Washoe. I got corrected a lot.
Oh, yeah?
The Washoe? Yes. The Washoe, that's what I said. So we will be talking about our investigation in the Washoe Club next episode. We're going to have some guests on. I voluntold them to be here. And
They've been voluntold.
We just barely got back like 2 days ago. So we need more time to go through our evidence, because we do have some EVPs that we got while we were there. Some of it we are aware of because we were doing live listening, which is something I've never done before. Have you done it before?
No, I've never done that before. That was new, and that was actually really cool. It's a form of, you know what we didn't? Oh, we'll talk about what we didn't do. But no.
So live listening is basically you take your headphones and plug it into your audio recorder, and it amplifies all the sound that you're hearing around you. Now, I know for sure I got one EVP, and we'll talk about it more next week when we actually play the EVP. But this week, we actually took a little stroll down to Mackay Mansion, which is like a 5-minute walk from Washoe.
A stone's throw away.
Really it is.
And because the whole city's laid up on a hill, it makes it easier to hit things with a stone.
This is very true. This town, holy cow, this town was so weird.
This town had very reminiscent vibes of Jerome. A lot of these mining towns are set up weird like this, and on hills, come to find out. This was very reminiscent of Jerome.
So basically, I mean, there's other stuff off the main street, but everything was right there on the main road.
Pretty much, yeah. There is.
And it's like what you see in the old Western films, where you got a street that goes down the middle, and you've got like buildings on either side. I mean, this is literally what this was. It was kind of a trip, because I've been to some old ass buildings, and nothing like this. Just seeing the town looking almost exactly like it did, 150 years ago, was actually really cool.
Yeah, there's a few towns like that I've been to that, yeah, and it is really cool, like stepping back into time when you look back and you look down the road and everything just, it's probably like how it looked back then, except
the asphalt road.
No Teslas and all horses.
Yeah. So, I mean, the sidewalk and everything is all wobbly and curved and stuff. Apparently, everything's original.
They haven't laid cement since 200 years ago.
That's right. No, the curbs and the roads that are paved, that was obviously all new. But like the actual sidewalks, where it's still the wooden sidewalks.
Oh yes. Yeah,
that's all original.
Yes, that is really cool. They do have, you haven't been to the Old Town Sacramento. That would be cool for you to check out, because that does have those old wooden sidewalks like that too.
Okay. So we decided when we were there, their website was misleading. I'm going to tell you that right now. It said that they're only open Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And we get there probably around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And we had made some plans to do a tour there at the Washoe. And it kind of kept us from really doing anything else, because it took like a half an hour just to freaking get signed up for the tour and sign up for our memberships. And so we had like a half an hour to kill before the tour began. We took the tour. It was only supposed to be like a half-hour tour. It was like an hour.
Yeah.
But it was a really cool tour. They walked us around and showed us all of the different rooms and gave us a history of the Washoe. Stuff that I don't think we've mentioned on our episode of it that we did like a year or two ago. There was information that they gave us that we didn't have, but we'll go more into that next week. We did walk down to the Mackay Mansion.
It was just one street down.
Yeah, it was like I said, a 5-minute walk. And we got our picture taken in front of it, so that will be up on the social media. But it was okay. So here's the thing: this house was built in 1859.
Yes,
long time ago. So by EVP standards, haunted
right off the bat.
Yep. It doesn't matter if there's actually ghosts in it. It's 150 years old, 150 plus years old, so it's automatically haunted. Now this was actually built by George Hearst, who at the time was the secretary for Golden. What's the name of the mining company?
Gould & Curry.
Gould & Curry Mining Company.
Gould & Curry.
Gould.
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 Yeah.
Gould & Curry. He was the secretary, and he lived in. They called it a mansion because back then, I guess anything that resembled a house was called a mansion. This place was huge. It's 3 stories. And honestly, it was funny because I don't know what your initial impression was when you walked up to this mansion. To me, I was like, this is a mansion? It looked so small.
It did look small walking up to it. I'm sure back then, though, they had a lot more property involved.
Probably.
And I'm sure it was more immaculate with the way landscaping. They probably had it landscaped real nice.
But the building itself, like that's the original building.
Yes.
So this, like I said, built in 1859, George Hearst.
It's probably bigger when you're inside.
Here's the thing: it probably is.
It's probably a grower, not a shower. Once you're inside of it,
well, I think
I
think we just saw the front of it too. Like we didn't really walk around it or anything.
Yeah, you can't just judge it.
So I'm very judgy about it right now.
Wait till you're inside. Wait till you're inside. It probably opens up.
She said
it'll grow. It's just you wait.
Yeah. So I've seen like other pictures and like I watched the Ghost Adventures episode on it and it looked a lot bigger in the TV series.
Everything that I've seen from the inside looks like everything looks
huge.
Yeah.
So it's 3 floors. The basement or the main floor is going to have your kitchen. They had a vault there.
And it says it's Victorian style. I don't think Victorian when I look at it either.
I don't really either.
It looks square. It looks boxy to me. And I don't get Victorian when I see boxy.
It looks like a big square.
Yeah, big red square.
So for those of you who don't know, George Hearst is actually the father of William Randolph Hearst. If you don't know who that is, watch Newsies. He was William Randolph Hearst is the guy that created The World back in the late 1800s. That's a newspaper. For
The World.
The World, that's what he called it. That's how egotistical this dude was. He created a newspaper and called it The World. But his dad is the one that actually built Mackay Mansion. And he ended up having this place because, like I said, he was the secretary there. This was built about 5 years before Nevada even became a state. And the reason why this city is so big and popular back in the day is because this was the first site of any silver found in Nevada.
Yeah, and this was like if the who's who of the rich folk. I mean, they had some kind of their hands in mining and gold and stuff. So, I mean, there was a lot of rich people that lived here. And it sounded like there was a lot of people that lived here in general.
Yes. So I do know that eventually John Mackay bought it.
Well, so there was a big fire something.
In 1875, there was a large fire, and it wiped out pretty much all of Virginia City. But for whatever reason, Mackay Mansion, not touched.
Untouched. And with John Mackay, he had worked his way up. He started from nothing, like just mining. And came from California where they didn't do too well at the last rush they were at.
Well, he was an Irish immigrant too.
Yeah, penniless when he got here, then just been mining and trying to like follow the booms. Like that's pretty much what they did through California. Whenever somebody talked about finding gold somewhere, everybody just kind of started taking off and trying to find their own stake claim and start finding gold. So it sounded like they weren't doing too well in California. And he was part of the first little rush of people that came over to Virginia City when first wind was heard. When they first got wind of there being gold there. So he was that first little group, and him and his buddies, they became millionaires.
Well, part of the reason why he became so rich is because he actually owned several of the mines there.
Well,
he owned Kentuck, Hell, and Norcross, and the Belcher mines.
Well, how he
as
did
well
that,
as Gould and Curry.
He was the first one to find gold. I think he was one of the first ones to find gold there.
So he was the first one to find the largest amount of silver.
And I think
which is why they're in the silver mining town, not gold.
He was getting paid in stocks instead of getting paid out.
Okay.
So he was earning stocks into the company instead of being paid. And as the business was booming, so were his shares. His shares were booming, and somehow he became pretty much. He ended up owning the whole damn thing. And
he owned those 3 or 4 mines, and when they hit at the time that they found when he found his silver and became super rich, it was the largest silver mine in the country.
And it was called the Silver 70s.
And him and his 4 friends, 2 guys named James, I can't remember the third one's name, they basically all lived in this mansion.
Pretty much. And then they also did business out of the mansion.
Yeah, they did business out of the first floor. The second and third floors were all bedrooms and the bathrooms and whatnot. So I guess it was very common back then to run business on one floor and live and sleep in it and on a different floor.
It makes life a lot easier, I'm sure.
Because these dudes hit it so big, they were known as the Silver Kings.
Yeah, they were.
And guess where they spent a lot of their time?
The Washoe
Club. The Washoe Club. There's a whole bit about it on their tour. But yeah, they were these dudes basically own this town because they were millionaires at this point.
And then we're talking millionaires, hundreds of millions of dollars back in the 1800s.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that would be equivalent to Bill Gates, that type of money. That's the kind of money these guys had. Unthinkable money.
Oh, and they were the Mackay Mansion was the first to have a lot of things like a flushable toilet.
Flushable toilet.
Like plumbing.
That was actually made of gold.
Yeah, there's pictures on their website or on one of the websites of this it's a porcelain toilet obviously, but then there's gold laid into it in the shape of leaves and flowers and shit.
So yeah.
It was the first place to have they put in an air conditioning unit.
This was the
or whatever
the
was it?
first. This was actually the first home in Nevada or Virginia City that had a home telephone, and the person that installed it in the house, Alexander Graham Bell.
Nice.
That's the kind of money these guys had, that they were having these people come install stuff at their house for them. Thomas Edison also was there. I think they were one of the first homes to have electricity.
Yeah, I believe so.
First, he was calling it first.
He was the first of everything.
First. So somehow, when that fire happened, he became owner. He took ownership of this mansion.
Well, George Hearst sold it to him.
Yeah, George Hearst sold it to him.
Not just somehow. He didn't.
Somehow it was magic.
It was
some kind of magic beans he made a wish on.
He magically became owner of this building.
Somehow.
I don't know if you know how trading goods works.
No, you just throw a coin in the air and you call it. Somehow.
He peed on the door. He's like, mine.
Yeah, he licked the doorknob.
So what we do here in America is we exchange money for goods and services. In this case, he exchanged money for a house.
Hogwash. That's not how you do things.
It's weird, right? So there's a lot of stuff going on here. They were booming, right? From the late 1800s to 1950, they kept gold bars there in the vault on the main floor, and they would sell the gold bars and whatnot to people. And like I said, they stored them there. And there was a couple bandits that heard about this. And so they decided it would be a great idea to break in and rob the place.
Now, when they did this, was this while John Mackay was still living in the house, or was this years later?
Honestly, I don't know.
I don't remember when this happened either.
I don't know when it happened either, but I do know what they did not expect. So when I say vault, they had a safe in there, but it was like a room that you walk into. It's right there on the main floor. Our good friend Paul pointed it out to us. He's like, literally on the other side of this window is where this went down. And these dudes broke in. Mm-hmm. kicked in the door to the vault because the vault is a room, and then there's another door that leads to the safe. What they weren't expecting was the armed guard inside.
Surprise, bitch!
Yep.
Boom!
Both shot in the chest, point blank.
Yeah, that's what they get. Big dumb bitches.
The big dummies. And needless to say, they no longer are alive.
So, two spirits.
Have
entered the room.
Yes. 2 spirits have entered the room. What else has happened there?
Well, when it comes to death, back then there was a lot of diseases that people didn't, there was a lot of kids that died from diseases back then. So over the time, there was a lot of families that lived there in this home. And along with these families, there was probably, they don't say how many, but you can just imagine there's probably at least a dozen or so children that have died in this house over time. But nothing that I could find anything that's written down and talked about. But there are a lot of, there's been children ghosts that have been seen there.
By who?
By people. People see ghosts there.
Oh, okay. No one in particular?
Name them. Oh, like Johnny Depp?
Yep. While filming a movie in 1995?
Yeah, so he was staying at this house, and he did see a spirit of a little girl. Do you know the details on that one?
No. Do you?
Something about, I think I don't know if he woke up in the middle of the night or he was going to bed and getting ready for bed, but he saw a little girl in his room. I don't know if she was running through the room or something, but Johnny Depp did see a spirit of a little girl, and she was dressed in white.
They always are.
Which, I mean, it was probably in a nightgown,
Probably.
And most nightgowns are probably going to be like white sheets or something.
What's really cool is this place still has a lot of the original furniture and woodwork from the 1800s. Like a lot of that stuff is in there. So if you ever go visit, you just got to be really careful because stuff is legit.
Oh,
like old.
So yeah, they do have a lot of the old furniture. That little girl that Johnny Depp's seen, all it says is that he stayed in one of the room upstairs, and she came to see him in his room.
Yeah, she sat at the foot of his bed.
Okay.
I guess there's another little girl ghost there that the mansion staff, they've named these 2 girls Lily and Emma. And a lot of people have said when they're walking around, they feel these 2 little girls like tugging on their clothes and wanting to play.
They also talk about there's another female apparition in there who takes it easy. She's floating around and lingering in favorite spots on the 2nd floor. Perhaps she's a former lady of the house.
Maybe. I do know, I believe it is there on the 2nd floor. It might be the 3rd floor. There's, they talked about it in Ghost Adventures. There's one of the beds that's constantly having to be remade, even though no one's like actually sleeping in it. They think it might be little girls, like when they go to bed. And we'll talk about that in a little bit here. Apparently the spirits do sleep at this location.
At this location, they like to go to bed.
They like to go to bed. They like to pull the covers back. And like I said, people are constantly having to remake this one particular bed. And it's a smaller bed. It's a child-sized bed. So I think little girls are trying to go to sleep.
They do have a former colonel who, in his last years alive, chose to sit in the kitchen as his favorite way to pass the time. So long after his death, he still is content to sit in the kitchen, and his presence can be felt by mediums. Ooh.
And then there's a shadow figure they see on like the 3rd floor that some people believe is possibly John Mackay himself, but no one's verified that yet.
And John Mackay didn't die here.
That doesn't mean anything.
Right. They say that and this is what they say about that because of that same reason that so many of the former people, the former owners that resided in that home, they loved that home so much they would still go back and visit, or they just talk about it so much that even if they moved while they were still alive, they still loved that home. Like that was their favorite place. So people still talk about that being a thing. So
do you know where John Mackay died?
In California somewhere?
Nope, London.
London.
He was on a business trip in London. He was like 70 years old. I think it was like 1905 is when he passed away.
Oh, so he was probably like already 20 years past.
Yeah, the early 1905. Yeah. Probably
Yeah,
like 40
he
years
lives way
past.
beyond the
He was way past
living
his prime.
expectancy.
Yeah.
There's another woman spirit that they see called. She's a focused, conscientious woman, maybe a servant who keeps herself busy, making never-ending trips up and down the staircase, trying to finish the chores on what must be an awesome to-do list.
Quite possibly.
There also is growling that's heard there.
What?
So Ghost Adventures, they went up to the attic, which was off limits, and there was padlocked. And then
It was half-ass padlock.
yeah, it wasn't screwed into the wall, and they just kind of pulled it right out.
No, it was screwed in. So it was 2 doors. Like you go up this little like narrow staircase, right? And it's like a trap door up above that goes into the attic, right? And it had 2 doors. And on one of the doors was where the padlock was screwed into the one door, and then you had the loop with the latch on it on the other door with the padlock on it. So you couldn't open that latch, but you could easily unscrew the other screws, which rendered the padlock useless.
Yeah.
And when I watched that, I'm like, they're literally teaching people how to break into this attic.
And they did. So
And something was not happy with these guys when they did it.
yeah, and they picked up on that because it growled at them, and they heard it, and they were like, "Hey, we're out." They didn't go up there, so they stopped at the entrance there.
So when he first lifted up the door, that's when he heard the growl, and he like slipped and because it freaked him out. Was it that? No, he heard the growl and then he closed it, and then he went to open it again, and then they heard this loud banging noise, and I think that's what freaked him out. And he fell down the stairs.
Yeah, that was the main takeaway I took from that whole episode was that.
Don't go in the attic.
Yeah, don't go in there. Well, funny story is, I was watching another YouTube video of some people who were talking to the owner, the lady, which is one of Paul's friends, right? He knows that lady.
He knows everybody.
He knows everybody there.
I don't know how many people stopped and said hi to Paul while we were in Virginia City.
So
He's just a local
he
celebrity.
is. Everyone knows him there. Everyone loves Paul. So when when I was watching this episode, she was talking about how they all thought when that episode aired that Ghost Adventures were full of shit, like always, that wasn't real, that growl didn't happen. Well, then they ended up capturing that same growl in a different area. I think it was coming from, I don't remember if they picked it up in the attic again or if it was down in another part of the house, but it was that same growl noise.
See, the growling to me wasn't even the most interesting part of that episode. It was the walkie-talkies, the 2-way radios.
When they heard
So at the very end of the episode, yes, Aaron and what's his face?
Billy or
No, Billy was over with Zach at the other. So
Jay.
Billy and
Jay.
Yeah, Jay. It was some guy. Who cares? Zach and Billy are over in a different building during this investigation. They're in the basement of a building that used to be used as like the Golden Curry's like bank, right?
Okay,
They were investigating the basement at this time, and they were hearing like light bulbs shattering.
Oh, yes. When they thought it sounded like they stepped on a bulb. They wanted to check the floor.
They thought they heard a filament go out in one of the bulbs, and they're checking them. They turned on the lights, and every light was working. And then it sounded like a light bulb got thrown at them.
Yeah, and you hear that popping noise, the glass bulb going.
It sounds like, like when you turn on a light and it blows up. That's what it sounded like. You can even hear the glass like shattering.
Yeah, it's like that pop.
So they're in a completely different building down the street. Like I said, keep in mind everything there is within a 5-10 minute walk of everything.
Yeah,
like it's not very big. And so they're investigating this building. Aaron and his friend is over at Mackay Mansion, and they hear Zach's voice come through their 2-way radios.
It sounds like a panic.
You hear the beep beep, or whatever. That's the noise that radios
Yeah,
make
beep beep. Yeah, that's when you hit the button.
Beep. And you're right. They hear what sounds like a panic of Zach's voice. Now, what was interesting about that was they didn't have 2-way radios on them, Zach and Billy.
No.
The only people that had radios were Aaron and the other guy that were there at Mackay Mansion.
Yeah. And it did sound like he was, and you couldn't make out the words, but it had the same tones as whenever Zach freaks out.
Yeah.
So even Zach heard that, and he knew that's his like panic acting voice.
Or they did have 2-way radios, and they didn't just put that on the show because it makes more interesting television if we say we didn't have radios on us. But honestly, like throughout the episode, like that would have had to been like super planned because throughout the episode, like those two guys at the bank didn't talk through radios at all, where Aaron and the other guy did. So
right.
if it was legit, that was actually really cool. That was, to me, the most interesting thing that happened at Mackay Mansion to those guys.
Yeah, I totally forgot about the light bulb thing then until you brought it up. But that light bulb thing was pretty cool. They couldn't even find anything broken.
No, they couldn't.
So
also didn't they get growled at as well at the bank building?
I think there was another growl. I think you're right, but I don't remember.
They heard stuff. I know. I think it was in the bank building at one point. Like they caught an EVP and Zach got pushed at the same time. Like I think the EVP said something like "stop it" or "leave him alone" or I can't remember what it said. Not important, but they caught an EVP at the same time. Zach tripped over his own feet. I mean, got pushed by a spirit. But the weird thing about that bank building is they said they had some guys there at one point that were working on the water system, the pipes for the stuff where the water comes out of.
Plumbing.
No, not the plumbing.
Poop water.
No, the fire.
Oh, sprinklers.
Sprinkler system, yes. We're so good.
Plumbing stuff.
The plumbing stuff. They were working on the sprinkling system. They were putting pipes in, and they saw or heard something that freaked these guys the hell out. They ran out of the building and were like, "We're done. We're not going back in."
There seemed to be a whole lot of people that investigated it and have a lot of evidence. It seems like there's a lot of stuff on YouTube. Our buddy Paul, I asked him if he had some EVPs, which he shared a couple with me, and another listener who sent me a EVP from the Mackay Mansion. And if you want, we can play those right now.
Yeah, so while you're finding those, let me set up the first one. You had played this for me, and I'm not going to say what the spirit says, but I heard what I thought was the EVP, and when you pointed out to me what the EVP actually was, I was kind of blown away because it sounds so good that it's not like a normal EVP where you hear it and it's not like whispery or quiet.
Right.
Do you find it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it seemed out of all the 3 EVPs I'm going to play, they're all crystal clear. You're not having to
super class A.
Yeah, they're all class A and
super class A.
Super class A. Where
not
it's
just
two
class
class
A,
A's combined and make a super
class A.
Okay, here we go. Let me just say, they're all talking right now because somebody's stomach had just gurgled.
Yeah.
And so they're all kind of making fun of that whole thing. And then you hear this thing kind of chime in after they're done saying everything, and that's the EVP, where it sounds like someone's in the room.
I just heard a lady's voice. Guys, I got headphones off. It's really weird. Excuse me.
Okay, so when you first played that to me, that at the end,
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, that's a very good one," and you're like, "That's not the EVP," and I was like, "Oh, what?"
So that thing you heard at the end that was because they were yawning and saying, I'm so tired. So that's what you hear, that sound was them like kind of making a yawn sound. So right before that you hear, "Excuse me." That's the EVP. So here we go again. I'm going to replay that and...
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Yep. So when they're having a conversation, I mean, they're obviously joking around, like you said, about someone's stomach growling, and this little woman's voice, kid's voice, saying, "Excuse me." Maybe it was even her stomach growling. I don't know.
Here's another one that Paul... So that was from Paul. Thanks, Paul. And we have another one from Paul. This one is another Class A. And
Super Class A.
Super Class A.
Yeah.
And then this one also sounds like someone's in the room. And
Well,
that,
they would have to be in the room to leave the EVP.
they definitely do, but it
They
sounds
don't
like
throw
sounds like there's a living person in the room with Paul.
It sounds like it's one of the investigators.
Yeah. Okay.
Cork popping.
I like the sound of this thing. It is like clear.
Mine being told to be safe?
So you hear it right before Paul starts to talk.
Yeah, he says, why am I being told to be safe? You hear a voice. Let's hear that again.
Why am I being told?
So
That's pretty clear. I mean, well, that maybe not as super. It's not a super class A.
It's
like the
clear
other.
for what it's
This
saying.
one's a class A though.
But you hear, stop it. I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah, and this is what I'm saying. Like the ghosts sleep apparently.
Why am I being told to be safe?
Well, the thing is like at first you hear this lady saying, "Stop it! I'm trying to sleep," and then Paul starts talking over her. Mm-hmm. He's not a rude gentleman by any means. So someone else is talking. Paul's not going to start being like, "Why am I being told to be safe?" Like he probably would have said something like, "Oh, I'm sorry. We'll keep it down." You know what I mean? Or he'd probably be questioning someone why they're trying to sleep during the investigation. But you know, he didn't react to it at all. He just started continuing on with his spirit box session.
And both of those are crystal clear. You're not like having to sit there and pick apart through static noise and white noise and try to make things up out of syllables and things. It's crystal clear. Those are really good EVPs, Paul. Thank you. Here's another EVP from a listener, Sky. Thanks, Sky. I was chatting with you on our way out there, and he sent me an EVP that he got there from Mackay Mansion. And this one is also crystal clear. And this one, it's talking about this voice is very ominous, and it's talking shit about a girl. So let's hear what it says. And that voice says, she's a slut. She doesn't give a fuck.
What? I don't know.
Okay, listen again. Hold on.
You're good at this.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is trying to hear it better. I leaned my headphones
You leaned your
closer
face
to my microphone. Sound doesn't come in those. It goes, sound goes in the microphones, not out of them. My headset is firmly placed on my ears, and I try to listen through my microphone to hear it better.
Because that's how things work.
See, I know how microphones work, and you know how buying houses work. We're both on a roll today.
Do you want to hear that one more time?
I heard it that time, but play it one more time. So I very clearly hear that she doesn't give the last word is kind of cut off.
It is kind of cut off, and it almost sounds like he's going to swear, but you don't hear it.
I've heard, you know what's the funny is I've heard like deeper, creepier voices than that.
But that is a creepy voice for an EVP.
Yes.
And
that's a really good one, though.
So all the EVPs that were sent to us from here are crystal clear. And I think we do have to do our own investigation when we go back there.
We will be going back to Virginia City. This is...
There's too many haunted places for us to not go back.
It's unfortunate that it took us this long. I need to actually talk into the microphone. It's unfortunate it took us this long to go out there. Paul's been trying for like 8 years to get me to go out there. And I finally did it simply because I got to go for free. And I definitely want to go back. And I will do it differently. My hotel was free. That's why I went. Other than the Finleys were nice enough to invite us to go with them. So we appreciate them for letting us join them on their vacation.
Yeah, thanks guys for letting us join you on your spring break.
So yeah, letting us invite ourselves to join you on your spring break.
Letting us crash your spring break in Reno.
But there's so many haunted places there, and I want to actually take a tour of the Mackay Mansion. I want to investigate the Mackay Mansion. And did you see the prices on investigating this place?
I didn't look at the price.
Holy cow! For 6 hours, it's only like $360.
Really?
Yeah.
For the whole group?
for up to 6 people.
Very, very cool. Very
So
cool.
they do it by like 2, 4, and 6 hour blocks. Obviously, 2 hours being the cheapest.
Not
but
enough
for
time.
like 6 hours. It was like $360. I'm like, we got to go. And then we need to plan it so we're there a little bit longer because we basically drove in, got dinner, slept, got up, ate breakfast, relaxed for an hour, and then went into
Virginia
City. And we only got 2 hours before everything closed because
Everything closes early there.
stuff was closing between 4:30 and 5 o'clock.
Yeah. That's when the ghosts come out and everyone shuts up shop and gets the hell out.
Oh, and Paul kept mentioning this the whole time, or even the tour guide. There's so many people that are like, the Virginia City is so haunted and so scary that even the locals don't come out at night. I found the locals. They were at the bar down the street.
Yeah. Well, they don't come on at night because there's nothing to do.
No, there's the 24-hour bar and casino.
Yeah. That's the only place.
So there's a casino there that all they have is slot machines. But they're like, yeah, if you get bored, you can go down the street at 2 o'clock in the morning, grab a beer, and gamble a little bit. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, there ain't shit to do other than talk to ghosts. So
or go to Reno.
Or to go to Reno. So if they are there in Virginia City, the locals, they're at the bar drinking,
And
or they're
Virginia
at home
City's-
watching TV.
It's a lot closer to Reno than I thought.
Yeah, it only took so long because of that damn
It's a switchback road.
driving
Yeah.
up the mountain into a little canyon. But it's only like 5 miles.
Yeah, it's like 20 miles. You can throw a
It's
rock
not even
at
20
Reno.
miles. Like
It's close.
I think it was like 15 miles, but
It takes
which
like
is-
35 minutes because of the switchbacks and
Yeah.
uphill. But yeah, we're definitely going to go back there. There's a lot more to investigate.
So we're gonna
out
plan
there.
it better so we're there longer.
Definitely.
So we actually have time to do stuff. Actually, get up one of the days early in the morning and go and check out all of Virginia City and do our own investigation at Mackay Mansion. There's so much to do there as far as like paranormal goes.
Oh yeah, the Opera House. We were walking down. I saw Opera House, and I asked Paul about that. He's like, "Yeah, it's haunted. I investigated it." I was like, "Yeah, I can definitely tell that needs investigating." And then when Terry met us there at the Red Dog to eat the pizza, she had brought it up. Did you guys see that Opera House?
Well, you had something happen at the Red Dog Saloon.
Oh yes.
You can talk about that because that's not part of the investigation.
So when we were at the Red Dog before the investigation, I went into the bathroom there, and it's a small bathroom. And there's not much room besides just turning around in a circle.
Basically, you have a toilet and a sink.
Yeah. And as I was taking my pee, I feel this thing, and I like see it in my peripheral. It came up on me real fast and just stood right up against my shoulder. Like it happened quick, and it was like scared the hell out of me. It made me turn and look because I could see it and I felt it come up on me, but no one's in there, just me. And
It was me.
somebody wanted to look over my shoulder.
They were trying to get a look at your.
That's what it felt like, though. It felt like someone
there
came
was
over on my shoulder and was like,
A peeper in the bathroom.
that's
at the
what
Red
it
Dog.
felt like. And I don't know if anyone talks about that. I didn't ask Paul about it. I mentioned it.
Did you get your butt touched?
No, this was in the cemetery.
They were trying to grab your junk.
Yeah, it's not Waverly.
No, it's not the Salt Lake Cemetery either.
Yeah, Waverly got my junk grabbed.
Salt Lake Cemetery was your
Salt
butt.
Lake Cemetery got my butt grabbed.
It happens.
They like playing grabby ass with me over here.
That's because you don't know any better.
But check out the next week's episode, guys. We'll talk about our investigation at the Washoe Club.
So we're still going through evidence, going through videos. So we'll put any videos that we can will be up on our YouTube. We will talk about them next week. EVPs as well. We'll try to get everything up on stuff from our investigation that, I can put up stuff that I captured myself. I'll have to get permission from other people to put up stuff that we got from that night. But we'll try to get stuff up on YouTube. And I know I say this every episode, so take it with a grain of salt.
Well, you seen the little tidbit I posted on our reel on Instagram.
Yes.
Right off the bat, Tim and I Beaker and I. God, I can't believe I just gave away your Christian name again.
Why would you do that?
I don't know what's wrong with
Now
me.
you die. Now I'm going to investigate your house after I kill you.
But yeah, stay tuned for that, guys. Check out the socials.
Yeah, the social is evp.pod at Instagram and Facebook. We're not on X because 2 social medias are enough.
Yeah, no one's on X anyways.
No, everybody's on X apparently.
Damn
I
it.
just don't. We don't even manage the 2 that we have. Devio does that for us. So go check out his reaction videos he's been putting up on those social medias. They're actually really, really good. And if you have stayed at Virginia City and you have a story you'd like for us to share on our episode next week, email us evp.pod@gmail.com. Share your stories of anything that you've had happen in Virginia City, an investigation you've done that you would like us to talk about next week. Hit us up and then go to ghoststop.com, follow our affiliate link, and buy some ghost hunting gear.
Yeah, come ghost hunting with us this year. We'll be looking up some stuff here shortly and getting us some investigations going.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Ghost don't play that.
Peace out, butterflies.
This is the EVP Podcast.